And then even more land is cleared to grow the food to feed the livestock. The rainforest is our main source of oxygen and CO2 absorption. Not to mention, used pasture land creates land that is desertified, or desertification, which is basically when the cows graze on the land, it packs the soil down, which actually makes it impossible for anything to grow there. With the soil is then unable to absorb rainfall, and you have increased amounts of runoff. And desertification is really not a good thing, and it's really an unfortunate result of agriculture. Bugs, on the other hand, we don't need to clear any rainforest for bugs, and they really actually prefer to be in tighter, smaller spaces. Most insect farms house billions of insects in warehouse-sized facilities. So this is actually an insect farm. I think it's a cricket farm, and there's something like 2 billion crickets in this place, wow. And it's about the size of someone's house. And if you see right here, have you guys ever gone to like the feed store, or maybe had a lizard or something that you needed to feed, and you pull out one of these little sheets, and every single tiny little crevice is just filled with these crickets? Yeah, crickets like to be smushed together. They need it. They're cold-blooded, keeps them warm, and they are happy. I don't know what else that works for them, but right. You actually, yeah, bugs can be grown in hardly any space at all, including on your kitchen counter, which that is, this thing is super, super rad, and I'll talk about that in a minute. That's a mealworm tower. And there's a GoFundMe project for getting that whole thing started and just growing mealworms on your own in your kitchen, which is pretty cool. Bugs have a lot more feed options than, say, cattle, sheep, and pigs. In fact, bugs can actually eat the food that we don't eat. So we don't even have to grow food for bugs. They can just eat our food scraps. We cut out a lot of hassle by doing that. Yes.
Sorry, you just were saying that they can eat our food scraps, but
yeah.
Hey, remember the bug that you mentioned at the beginning, saying that the thing could eat plastic?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it eats plastic, how do you use that bug in the future?
You probably shouldn't eat the bug that's eating like the plastic and the styrofoam, but yeah. It's something that they're really, really looking into right now.
Okay.
And that's kind of might be a way to solve our plastic problem. Is that,
so you wouldn't like that
putting
one
it in a landfill
yeah.
and trying to figure out how to keep it from contaminating waterways and agricultural systems and whatnot, we could actually just put a bunch of bugs on it and have them eat it. I don't know what we do with the bugs afterwards. But yeah, don't eat those though. Probably don't eat those. Anyways, cow farts. So methane. We all kind of have a pretty good idea of how global warming works and greenhouse gases and whatnot. CO2 is kind of like the main player in the greenhouse gas game. But if CO2 is the bad boy on the block, methane is like the mob boss. Methane is 30 times more concentrated than CO2. And our agriculture industry produces 40% more greenhouse gas emissions than the entire transportation industry combined. That's buses, cars, boats, planes, trains, everything. Methane, not good. And kind of like I said earlier, there's been some theories that if we actually completely took meat off the table, we might be able to reverse global warming. And cows, I mean, they're kind of the really big contender when it comes to methane, but everything we eat produces methane, and it just contributes to a warmer and warmer world, which is not good for anybody. And in comparison, look at our little cow crickets, hardly any methane. Look at our mealworms, not really any methane. Locusts, meh. But unfortunately, people aren't on here. We produce more methane than all those guys. So, and water. Water is really important, right? Water is actually the key to conservation, and agriculture is the key to conserving water. More water goes to agriculture than any other resource. It's one of the highest contributors to water pollution, like I was talking about with the desertification and the feces and the runoff and all that. And notice it takes 1,847 gallons for 1 pound of beef. It takes 1 gallon of water to raise a pound of crickets. I drink that in like a day. Oh, yes, this next slide, kind of disturbing. Just hang on, hopefully. Don't look at me. And then there's, of course, factory farming. We all know how bad factory farming can be. It's probably one of the most inhumane things we do legally. Pigs, they're more intelligent than dogs, and we keep them in cages and tell ourselves that they're not self-aware and that, you know, these things are okay. We're unfortunately very, very removed from our food, and we're, you know, super, super sad thing. But we could put a positive spin on factory farming. So this is basically like a mealworm factory. So you have like the nursery, and this is like the love shack level. And every layer is a different stage of growth for the mealworms, and eventually they filter through the bottom down here, where then you can take them out and harvest them to eat. Now, we all know that with factory farming there are some very questionable ways as to what is inhumane and humane to kill an animal. Bugs are really nice in the fact is you just take them and you put them in the freezer. A lot of bugs have that built-in deanimation thingy where they go into a hibernative state when you freeze them. So their metabolism slows down and they don't feel any pain. You can take them straight from the freezer, put them in the frying pan. That one's gonna have a difference. Oh, right. And just kind of wanted to show you guys a quick little snippet of a insect factory farm. Oh, how do we do that?
Here we raise 2 species of worms, mealworms, which comprise about 10% of our business, and another worm called the superworm. The worms are raised essentially in a rack kind of system. They're fed 2 different feed inputs. We have a standard commercial feed input as well as an organic line. And the worms from here get processed. As well, we process their frass, which is their excrement, makes a phenomenal fertilizer for vegetable gardens, for indoor gardening. So that's also processed at this facility.
To be the only human consumption cricket farm in North America. We breed crickets for human consumption food, primarily as a source of protein. We convert the crickets into flour in our processing plant just down the road. And this is our farm.
Look how many!
That's crazy.
So there's those vertical egg cartons that's talking about.
There's a great need for an improved
So we should harvest.
and a less environmentally damaging protein source. And there's an incredible opportunity for the world in terms of the nutrition that cricket protein or insect protein offers, as well as the environmental benefits of the cricket farming as well.
Did you guys hear that high-pitched chirping?
Yeah.
That's like been the biggest complaint in cricket farms, which cracks me up. Like it doesn't smell.
But the noise.
Yeah, there's not waste. And actually, well, I'm gonna get into this, but insect feces is like the best fertilizer. In fact, soil is just bug poop. It's not dirt. It's bug poop. Okay. So we are what we eats. As I'm sure we've probably heard, a lot of those inorganic meats that are in the factory farms are pumped full of antibiotics, tons of different types of hormones to keep them healthy and up to our USDA standards. Not to mention, the food that is grown for our food is doused in pesticides. More times than not, they don't even rinse the pesticides off before feeding it to the animals. So the animal holds the pesticides, we ingest the pesticides. Anyone want to guess what the most toxic food is? Human breast milk is the most toxic food.
Wow.
I know, we're an apex species. Everything that is consumed chemically, fungicides, pesticides, we're the last ones to get it, and we are the most toxic animal on the planet. And actually, there's been pesticides have been found in all mammalian breast milk throughout the world. Okay. So, well, obviously, we're not going to need pesticides for bugs. So, get to cut out that whole thing, which actually takes a big chunk of our toxic overload just completely out of the equation, which is really, really nice. Whoops, not to mention, imagine you're in your garden, it's organic, you're gardening, and you have this cluster of aphids on your broccoli and on your kale. And it's an issue, or is it? You take those aphids off, pop them in a stir fry. They actually taste good. Fun little side fact about eating bugs, whenever you feed your bug, it's probably gonna end up tasting that way. So you have little kale flavored aphids in your salad, which I know sounds kind of weird. But yeah, you get like double the value of your garden that way. So anyways. Also, we don't share a lot of DNA commonalities with insects. So we don't run the risk of certain diseases like mad cow, swine flu. Of course, you want to exercise any kind of precautions as you would with any type of food. But you can get foodborne illness from vegetables. But yeah, insects cuts out a lot of stress in that respect. So,
That's awesome.
I mean, why shouldn't we eat bugs? Almost everyone else in the world eats bugs. It's been projected that about 60% of the rest of the world's population eats bugs regularly or even exclusively. We've actually been eating insects for millions of years. Just in the last couple of centuries, we've decided that this is kind of like, oh, a creepy, weird, strange thing, and we don't want to do it. There's a little bit more that goes into it than that. But not to mention, they are the most abundant resource on the planet. I heard an analogy that kind of cracked me up, that if aliens were to come and visit us and look at our current food production system, they'd probably think we're either super, super stupid or just really, really nuts. That we have this incredibly sustainable, infinitely renewable resource of food running around everywhere we look, but we're not utilizing it. In fact, we're poisoning it and killing it, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, and then there's, of course, the matter of fact that we can choose to start eating bugs now or just be forced to eat bugs later when the world is kind of going to, yeah. And not to mention, these guys are ridiculously healthy. They have more dense nutritional content than almost any other food. You can't find more variety in nutrition, even in like your leafy greens. I mean, they're packed with protein, fiber, amino acids. Their amino acid profile is comparable to fish. Like, remember the whole like fish fad, take your fish oil, you need amino acids to make your brain work, your organs need it for functioning. Bugs have even better amino acids than fish. Also, entomophagy is like the ultimate paleo diet. So I'm not really sure why this has caught on as a diet fad, but it's probably just a matter of time. Just fake. Also, as removed as we are from our current food production system, eating insects doesn't mean that we can't be just as removed. If you're kind of squeamish about popping an entire bug in your mouth, which is also another really, really positive aspect, there's no byproduct or waste when you're eating insects. But yeah, there's cricket flour everywhere. As you can see, it's incredibly nutritionally dense. You throw it in some banana bread and you've got everything you need for the day. You don't have to eat it with its head on. In fact, how many animals do you eat that actually have its faces and legs and whatever on? We don't have to be super involved in eating them in that sense. And you already eat bugs, yes.
Can you get that flour in the U.S.?
Yeah, actually, if you go to Terra Organica,
Yeah.
I just found out the other day there is a local cricket farm in Deming. Yeah, and they produce cricket flour. So I think it's like a 1 pound bag was like $20. And remind me, I have a recipe for pumpkin bread in my bag, and I'll figure out how much. I'll let you know how much cricket flour goes into a loaf of pumpkin bread. But yeah, you can buy this almost anywhere. You can absolutely order it online. Yes, we do have it, at least at Terra Organica. I don't think the co-op has it. I was kind of disappointed at their lack of insect protein sources. Okay. Anyways, yeah, you guys are already eating bugs. If you've eaten any of these foods, as most of us have for probably most of our lives, there's already bugs in here. Basically, these things are produced on such a huge scale, and they already know that bugs aren't bad for us, they're actually kind of good for us. And they just kind of let them go in there and get cooked up and ground up and just turn the other way and whatever. Actually, the protein in peanut butter isn't all from peanuts. There's a lot of bug in there. Right. And you're probably wondering, why haven't we been eating bugs this entire time? One of the biggest influences over why our American culture is so bug weird is Hollywood. We're a very, very movie-based society, and there's a lot of TV shows and movies out there that, don't really paint the nicest of pictures when it comes to insects. Before that, there are some speculations that maybe it has something to do with religion. I know that in the Bible it says something like, we are only to eat animals that are kind of at our status, whereas bugs that live in the ground and they're dirty, and lobsters and shrimp are bottom feeders, so it's kind of beneath us a little bit. But probably the real reason why we as Americans don't eat bugs and a lot of the rest of the world does is its climate region. The warmer the climate, the larger the bug. The larger the bug, the easier it is to hunt, the less you have to gather, and the fuller meal that you have. So if you were to go down to South America, you grab a couple of grubs, that's a pretty nice meal, feeds your family, instead of, as you'll see later, an entire cup of a bunch of little worms doesn't really go very far. We need to start eating bugs. Our plan is going to provide for 9 billion people by 2050. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember in middle school my teachers being like, 9 billion people is all that we can handle on this planet. And we already have a very, very big issue with hunger in the world. But at least a third of the world's population is going to end up experiencing hunger and starvation. More food is going to need to be produced over the next few decades than has been produced in the last 10,000 years. That's 70% more than what we produce now. We don't have enough land for that. We don't have enough land to produce all of that food and still produce enough oxygen, not to mention all the carbon sinks we're going to need. And I know that the ocean produces oxygen, but at the rate of their warming and their acidification, it's probably not a good bet to rely on. So, I have a game for you. Bugs, being that they're so incredibly abundant, are actually one of the best survival foods. So, 99% of the time, bugs should always be cooked. It's a lot easier going down. You don't really want it to bite you in the mouth, and they usually taste better. It's part mental, part flavor. Tip number 2, and this part is very, very, very important. In fact, I kind of want you guys to say this out loud. Red, orange, or yellow for go this small fellow. Green or brown, go ahead and toss it down, as in toss it down your throat. Okay? Okay, can we all say that?
Red, orange, yellow, forgo this small fellow. Green or brown, go ahead and toss it down.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so here we are. We're in the woods. We're stranded. We don't know when our next meal is going to be. We don't know when we're going to get rescued. We're starving. And we come across, whoops, game time, these guys. Can we eat them?
No.
Good job. Okay, no. He's orange. Don't eat that guy. Okay, so we keep foraging, and we keep foraging, and we come across that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Can we see them?
Yep.
Yes, we can. Do you guys know what that is?
Does it stink bug?
It is a stink bug.
Yeah.
And I know they smell weird, and you're probably like, why the heck would I eat that? That's
They don't
disgusting.
taste weird.
The experienced entomophagists actually say these guys taste like apples, and they're really good in cobblers, and like with pork, which is kind of defeats the purpose of being insects in my opinion, but you know, they are tasty. And this is kind of a trick question, but based on the rules that we just played, if you found a bee out there, what would you do?
We'll go to small fellow.
Yes, you would. But, side note, turns out drone bees who don't actually leave the hive and they don't have stingers are considered a delicacy around the world. And what's an even bigger delicacy is the pupae that live in the hive, and those things are highly, highly sought after in a lot of different regions around the world. A lot of people say they're very, very savory, kind of like snails, I guess. Never tried them, but okay. And how about this guy?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eat
Seems
them.
a little yellow to me.
Green or brown, toss them down. And this is, does anyone know what this is? No? It's a mayfly. I think it's a mayfly.
Let's say it first.
So this is an aquatic insect. Aquatic insects are very, very interesting in the fact that they take on the flavors of their surroundings, like we said before. Bugs tend to kind of taste like what they eat. So aquatic insects are going to taste like lobster, crab, shrimp, sometimes salmon even. So when we're out in the wilderness, maybe we should go to the water first and see what we can find over there. Might be a little bit more appetizing. How about this guy?
No.
Good job, don't eat that guy. And this guy?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
It's kind of yellow.
I can't remember the family that the cicadas and the grasshoppers are in, but all those guys are fair game. Like you can totally eat those crickets and everything. How about these?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Bear with me, you guys. I think I'm missing a slide. There we go. Okay. So I wanted to show you this awesome little. Did I skip this? Did you guys see this?
No, we didn't see it.
Okay, that was a little weird. Anyways, my point here. All right. We already eat a lot of really, really weird stuff. Do you guys remember the first time someone introduced you to sushi? And you were like, you want me to eat raw fish and their eggs? And are you insane? And then you ate it and you were like, oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever had. Yeah, so sushi. We've all been there. Jello? Ground up bovine hooves? Yeah, we totally eat that crap. Brie. Brie is cheese covered in mold, and we love it. Haggis is that crap, which is like, this is ground up organs, sheep organs inside of a sheep's stomach.
That's gross.
I know. This stuff, my uncle goes nuts over this and I don't get it. It's called head cheese. It's like gelatinous meat from the heads of cows and pigs, right? And of course, cow tongue, pickled pig's feet, Twinkies, McDonald's, really? And right. Stop. No. I found this video and I got a super big kick out of it, and I think it basically sums up everyone's experience with eating bugs. Yeah.
I'm gonna eat some worms, long and skinny ones, big, thick, fat ones. I'm gonna eat some worms. This is a real song. It's a real song.
Timon and Pumbaa used to eat bugs, and they turned out great. Everyone had a bug fly in their mouth before, so this is no different. Just think of it as like it's popcorn.
It's popcorn. It's popcorn.
Hakuna Matata.
The aftertaste is like a pistachio, but like, oh, that was a bad one.
Oh, the head.
Came off.
I can see myself like drunk just eating this whole thing. Sounds like pretzel sticks.
This looks like something that will give you a tapeworm.
Don't lick it. What are you doing, Keith?
Oh, don't lick the bug. That's not the right way to eat the bug.
Earlier that could be peanut butter on the inside.
tastes like a little bit like a snappy.
I liked it, but if it was like gummy and like not an actual worm, but it was just like a gummy version and a sour and it had like different colors, I think I would love it then.
A plate of dead grasshoppers and a plate of live grasshoppers. That's for damn sure.
Imagine if you just saw that jump at you like. Oh my god.
Do it.
Pretty crunchy.
This also tastes like going to the vet. It tastes like that stainless steel animal sadness.
Not bad.
Bring it on over. What you got?
Scorpions!
Scorpions.
Yo, isn't this how Steve Irwin died?
Still Archie.
No, it wasn't.
Singer.
That's funny.
Oh, it's so hard to eat.
Oh my god!
Oh, whoa.
Wow, this is great.
Oh, I like it. So salty. Oh my god, this one's amazing. It's so good.
It tasted like old sweat, right?
Scorpion King. King Kong.
I legitimately believe in the future we're gonna have to eat bugs. So
I will do it then. Like, then my tolerance will be like, I must survive. But right now, I know we got some Cheetos.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, what's weirder, eating insect larvae or mushing together different chicken bits into dinosaur shapes?
that's a good point.
That's funny.
It's make me do that.
Alright. And finally, sorry about skipping that slide, you guys. I'm not showing that in there. Figure. I did a little experiment. So let me videotape myself, so this is gonna be really embarrassing. Here we go. These are some wax worms I ordered from San Diego Wax Worms. I got them in the mail, and they were just hanging out in some sawdust. And what I had to do was separate them. Oh my gosh. By the way, you guys, I got this on YouTube finally, okay?
Yay.
Finally. So I had to separate them from the sawdust and put them in the freezer. And then I cook them up really, really simply to get a really good idea of what they tasted like. They're super dead. Super dead. You guys ever try to like videotape yourself doing something and then realize how hard it is to do?
Is that garlic?
It was garlic, onion, and olive oil.
Okay.
That's it.
So I have just cooked up some wax worms for the first time. I sauteed them in oil and garlic and onion. And I'm going to eat my first wax worm and I guess my first bug since I was like 12. So this is
That's why.
what I'm working with. Okay. Bon appetit. Kind of tastes like French fries. Not bad. Actually, good.
Okay. And just so you are totally convinced that was unbiased.
And they're gonna try fried wax worms for the first time.
It's like crispy chicken a little bit.
Yeah. So what do you think?
It's good.
Yeah?
That's so
Alright.
cute.
So maybe like a lot of shrimp. Tastes like shrimp.
She likes to invite for more.
It's good.
That's funny.
So would you eat these like maybe every day or every other day or on a more frequent basis?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
They just keep eating them. That's so funny.
They ate the
Thanks, you
vegetable.
That's so funny.
Actually, and I had a friend, I wanted to try them, and there's almost none left. But
Mickey tries waxworms for the first time.
Just really chewy. Yeah.
Right? were you a little skeptical going into this?
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little skeptical.
I really didn't want to do this. Really didn't want to do it.
Welcome to the world of entomophagy.
That's cute.
Okay, so on that note, who wants to eat some bugs?
Today's performance of soft steps at Timberline.
I was knew that was gonna happen.
Okay, so what I have done is I have several options here for you. These are Chipotle bars, which you can buy these at Terra Organica. You can order them online, and this is a very, very new up-and-coming snack bar. There's a lot of really good protein and other good stuff in there. I have 4 different flavors. So these have crickets in them. So that's one way, and you don't have to see the face or anything like that. It's not too intimidating. All right, so if we want to step up our game a little bit more, I made an asparagus risotto, and it has those fried waxworms on it. And if you're feeling super brave, straight up fried waxworms, just like the ones that I, Jeff, Maya, and Mickey ate. And just for being really, really good troopers, I got you star cookies. There you go. Oh, and thank you for participating. Cheers. There is a handout up here, but it didn't really print out in any way where you can read it. So if you want it, go ahead and take it. If not, we'll recycle it, whatever. But yeah, let's eat bugs, guys.